Hey, how's it going, everybody? And welcome back to Pop's Movie Dungeon. I am back today with another review from the dungeon. And today's movie that we're going to watch and review is going to be the 1996 Mark Wahlberg classic, Fear. Now, this is a movie that I blind watched back in 1996 when this thing came out. I rented this from one of the video stores and absolutely fell in love with it. In this movie here, you got Mark Wahlberg, Reese Witherspoon, Alyssa Milano, William Peterson. It's a great movie. It was a big surprise when I watched it back in the day. Now, in all honesty, I've not watched this movie in years. I just picked up this bare bones release from Mill Creek, and I'm looking forward to checking this out. I'm going to watch it right now. I'll be back as soon as I turn this thing off. I'll be back with my honest review on this thing. Let you know if it holds up. Let you know whether I recommend it. We'll talk a little bit about the movie. Guys, thank you for joining me. This is my second review in my reviews from the Dungeon series. Hope you guys enjoy it. I'll be back real soon, and we'll talk about this in just a minute. So here's the title screen for Fear. As you see, there's no special features on this at all. All you're getting there is the play button option and the subtitles. Not even a trailer. Now this is the Universal release. This is the introduction screen. It's a lot more polished. You get the little video intro there. But if you go down to the extras, and look, you're still only getting the theatrical trailer on this here. Of course, you can pick your scenes. So still also very, very bare bones. So if you already have this release and you're not interested in those retro slips, you'll probably be fine with just your Universal release that's already been put out years ago. But you know, like I said, that's gonna be dealer's choice. But I just want to show you all the difference in the introduction screen between the old Universal release that came out. I'm not sure when it came out. I've had it for years, and compared to the Mill Creek screen. A little more polished, but you're getting the same shit. Okay, so I just finished watching Fear, and let me just start this review by saying that this damn movie holds up. I enjoy this movie as much now in 2023 as I did back in 1996 when I first watched it. The movie's directed by James Foley. Now, James Foley has done a few other movies that I really enjoy as well. He was director of At Close Range, which was an 80s movie that was just another really great thriller if you guys have never checked that one out. This movie stars Mark Wahlberg, Reese Witherspoon, Alyssa Milano, William Peterson, and I tell you what, everybody in this movie does a fantastic job. I'm a really big fan of 90s thrillers, and I'm going to go ahead and say this right now, this is one of my favorites. Like I had said earlier, I hadn't seen this movie in years. Rewatching this movie today reaffirms this movie is fantastic. This is going to be a very high recommend for me if you guys have never checked this out. This release from Mill Creek, there's nothing fancy with this. You see here, there's a cover. You get the retro VHS slip. That's the only selling point of this, as far as getting this release. But as far as the release itself, as you see here, we're talking bare bones. You get nothing. You get nothing like I showed you earlier, but the movie itself and subtitles. You don't even get a trailer. But you know, these movies are cheap. They're not really known for the features. This movie is pretty much, people get them for these retro slips. And I have most of these, pretty much all of them. I'm missing a few. But the retro slips are awesome with these. You see you got the spine that looks like an old VHS tape. But that being said, enough about the release. It's definitely worth picking up. If you don't already own this movie, grab this. It's dirt cheap. I think everybody will really enjoy this. Now, this movie was really early in Mark Wahlberg's career. Pretty much most people knew him as Marky Mark. A lot of people joke around saying this is the Marky Mark biopic. But he'd only done a couple things before this. He was in Renaissance Man with Danny DeVito, another good movie. As a co-starring role. He was also in The Basketball Diaries with Leonardo DiCaprio, also a co-starring role. And he actually got this part here because Leonardo DiCaprio highly recommended him to the director of playing the main role as David. Whenever Mark Wahlberg first came in to audition for this role, they were originally going to give him one of David's sidekicks in his little gang, one of the other bad guys, whatever, that has a much smaller part. But he impressed the director so much, the director came back and said, if we don't cast Mark Wahlberg as David, the main lead in this role, I'm walking away. I'm not doing the movie. That's how much he impressed the director. Mark Wahlberg in this film, when you first meet him playing the role as David, he's good, but he really doesn't shine until he turns into the crazy ass he does later in the movie. The basic plot of this movie is you have Reese Witherspoon. She's 16 years old. She comes to live with her dad, William Peterson. She's been living with her dad for about a year now. After her mom and dad divorced, They lived in different towns. She lived with her mom for a while. It wasn't working out. She came to live with her dad. They have kind of a rocky relationship, kind of getting to know each other. William Peterson fell in a lot of guilt, kind of felt like he abandoned her a little bit after the divorce. He now has a new family. He's remarried, married to a lady named Laura, played by Amy Brenneman, and she has a small son named Toby. Now, so you have a blended family thing going on. Reese Witherspoon trying to fit in with her dad. They're trying to work on their relationship. She has a good friend named Gary that she goes to school with, and Alyssa Milano is like her best girlfriend. And the three of them are kind of thicker than thieves. They're kind of hanging out. And all of a sudden, Alyssa Milano and Reese Witherspoon run into David and David's best buddy, whatever. And David's played by Mark Wahlberg. He seems like the guy next door, super, polite, says all the right things, and you can just kind of see the slime dripping off this guy.
What? No.
And me being a dad, let me just say this before we move on. Watching this movie as a dad who has a daughter, this movie will piss you off. I mean, everybody, any dad that has a daughter, they start dating. Of course, you go into kind of, protective mode, Papa Bear mode, and you want to keep your daughter safe. And you hope and pray they never meet a guy like this guy, David. Well, David comes over, later on, he wants to meet the family. Nicole's she's a virgin, she's not wanting to have sex. David's playing Mr. Nice Guy, he's going to wait, he's going to be patient. But all along watching this, you could just tell he's a fucking slimeball. So he finally wants to meet the parents. He comes in and he meets the dad. He's like, Mr. Walker this, Mr. Walker that, just saying all the right things. And, as a parent, you have these warning signs, when it comes to your kids. And, you can see right away, whatever, that even though he was coming in saying all the right stuff, whatever, that Nicole's dad just really didn't trust this guy. But, he was just being guarded at this point. As the movie goes on, whatever, and you start seeing some of the warning signs that the dad, picks up on, and you start seeing him kind of getting real protective and freaked out about David's character. And let's just say that it goes from 0 to 10 by the third act of this movie. Whenever things finally go full tilt, and I don't want to give any spoilers away you hadn't seen this, because it's good to watch this, blind as you possibly can if you've never seen it. But when it gets to the point where David and Mr. Walker, Reese Witherspoon's dad, finally has their falling out, it's one of the greatest fucking scenes ever. And it's one of those scenes, as I'm sitting there watching this movie, and I'm talking to the fucking screen, whatever, just raising hell, because this guy's pissing me off. And you can feel the dad's fucking anger. And they both do a great job. William Peterson and Mark Wahlberg do a great job in both of these roles, displaying that character. And I think everybody in the movie does a fantastic job. When you get to the final climax of this movie, you're fully invested. You're invested in the characters. You can feel their fear. You can feel the danger that they're in. Mark Wahlberg, let's just say he goes from being an actor that I say, okay, this guy's doing a pretty good job in this role. But when he finally gets to the full tilt crazy-ass David by the end of this movie, I think Mark Wahlberg does a great fucking job. I actually feel the fear for the family, whatever, because you got everything that's going on, at the end of this movie. Again, it's hard to talk about it without trying to spoil anything. But if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. And by the time David gets to the final third act, whatever, this one clip here is one that everybody talks about. After I watched this movie for the first time, it's one that I rewound, 3 or 4 times. It was something that really stood out in the film. And anytime I talk about this movie with anybody that's actually seen it, this is the one scene everybody talks about.
It all could have been different, Mr. Walker. You should have allowed nature to take its course. In the end, it will anyway. So let me in the fucking house!
That scene was actually supposed to be part of the blooper reel. Mark Wahlberg ad-libbed a lot of different shit, whatever, through the doorbell. But Brian Grazer was the producer of this movie. And when he came back and kind of watched the movie after they kind of finished filming it, he seen they had cut out this scene at the doorbell. And he was like, no, that's got to go back in. That's one of the greatest parts of the movie. And so he got that part added back in. Thanks to Brian Grazer, it got put back in there. And to me, it's one of my favorite parts of the movie. It's one of my favorite scenes. But like I said, this movie is a high recommend. Everybody does a great job. The movie holds up. If you're a fan of 90s thrillers, this one here I think is going to be at the top of your watch list. You really need to check this movie out. You need to pick this movie up. Again, you can get it dirt cheap. This movie came out a year before Mark Wahlberg did Boogie Nights. So this movie here, and then of course Boogie Nights a year later, Mark Wahlberg was on his way. And I think this here, if you're a Mark Wahlberg fan and you haven't checked this out, you definitely owe it to yourself to watch it. It is a lot of fun. Alyssa Milano, she has kind of a smaller role in the movie, but for what her role is, she does a fantastic job. Reese Witherspoon, after watching Freeway again recently and watching this, I'm a Reese Witherspoon fan. I've always liked Reese Witherspoon, but going back and watching these movies again, kind of fresh in my mind now, I want to go back and watch some more of her films. Definitely going to be up there, along with Freeway, is one of my favorite Reese Witherspoon performances. I think everybody did a fantastic job, and I was fully invested. You know, you got some other cast members in this, and this is going to be one of those blinking you might miss it, whatever. But you have a guy named Gary Riley, and I'll probably throw his picture up here or whatever, but you probably know him from Summer School. You know, you got Chainsaw and Dave in the movie Summer School with Mark Harmon. He was the guy that played Dave, and he has a very small role in this. You'll see him a couple shots there at the end. I don't think he has any speaking roles in the entire movie, but I thought it was kind of funny seeing him in this. Other than that, I didn't really recognize anybody too noticeable in this. A good story. It has a good pace to it. I wasn't bored anytime throughout the movie. I think it starts off, really showing the different levels of crazy. I love movies where you have a character that kind of slips into crazy. Now, I know David was crazy when this movie started, but it really didn't introduce him to the audience as a full-blown crazy person until the end. And the way they did Mark Wahlberg's character in this, taking him from Mr. Guy Next Door to psycho crazy Norman Bates at the end, it was pretty awesome. I had a great time with the movie. I'm glad I picked it up. I'm glad I rewatched it. I was super excited to get on here, and I want to keep this review short. I got a lot more I want to say about this movie, but please let me know down below your favorite scenes. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you're a fan of it. Let me know if you didn't like it. I want to hear all the thoughts on this. But this is one of my favorites. It's definitely staying in my collection. I really don't have too many negatives to say about this one. If you're a fan of 90s thrillers, this is definitely one you need to add to your collection. But again, if everybody go check this movie out. Let me know what you think about it. Come back and let me know. I would love to go back and forth, have a conversation with some people about this movie here. It kind of blew me away. I'm not going to lie. Doing these reviews, sometimes after seeing a movie that I enjoy as much as I enjoyed this one, getting on here and kind of like gathering my thoughts right away, because I want these reviews to be fresh right after I watch the movie. Sometimes it's a little hard getting on here and kind of gathering all your thoughts, whatever, and getting everything across. But all I can say about this one here, it's a hell of a good time. It's a fun ride. Mark Wahlberg does a great job. Everybody in the movie does a great job. It held my fucking interest. It has a great pace. There's nothing negative I can say about it, guys. It's a good time. Go pick it up. Again, you can get this Mill Creek whenever for like less than $15. I don't remember. It's around $12 or $13, I think. It's not much at all. You can get it on Amazon. That's where I got mine from. But it's a great time, guys. Y'all check it out. Thank y'all for coming back to Pot's Movie Dungeon, and I'll be back really soon with some more reviews from the dungeon. Everybody take care.